Hello, everybody. Welcome to At the Bar With podcast. I'm your host, Brett. As always, I'm here with my co-host, Stacy. And on the back screen, as usual, streaming in from Sacramento, California, is Patrick. And today we have a special guest, almost like a Clark Kent.
He even has the glasses.
Realtor by day and photographer at night, kind of deal.
Superhero photographer.
So we have Tommy Sommers here. Say hello, Tommy.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, Tommy, it's a school night, so I believe he wants to do a Diet Coke today. So we're going to do that.
Diet Coke works.
Yeah, Patrick, what are you having?
I'm having strawberry lemonade in my Sacramento River Cats cup. But yeah, it's a school night for me, and I've got parenting duties and a back to school night to go to with my daughters after this. So got to take her easy.
I want to have a Hams.
Oh, the beer of champions.
Because I'm still on vacation. And
Patrick, are you sure you're not hiding what's in there really with that cute cup?
No, it is strawberry lemonade. I swear.
Okay.
It's delicious.
I don't drink as much as I used to, you know?
none of us can do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
I just can't.
Oh, Brett, thank you. Oh, he's got the Modelo out. That's a nice.
You need a koozie? Brett, you got the koozies?
Get a skinny koozie.
I don't have the koozies down here today, but I'm going to try this Modelo Oro. It's the light beer made by Modelo.
Oro.
Yep.
3 grams of carbs, 90 calories. You saying something there, Brett?
You got a little overweight on the trip.
Yeah, I ate a lot in Alaska.
lot of crab legs.
A lot of stuff in
I
Alaska, and nothing was off limits. So my cholesterol and my fat intake is probably through the roof right now.
He went to the buffet.
We went to a lot of buffets.
That's all they have on those ships, right? Buffets?
Not all. Nope.
Nope.
They have specialty restaurants.
Oh, the
steak.
specialty restaurants? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anything you want. Hibachi.
Yeah, there
you
was
name it. Sushi, whatever.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. Especially we went when we went there. I think in the last episode that we were talking about, Gene got crabs from Tracy.
Oh, nice.
King crab.
Oh. I was going to say, are they still itching?
Yeah. A little bit.
It was a lovely time.
Mm.
So yeah, I would highly recommend Alaska. Patrick was saying you got to do it, and since he lived up there for a little bit of time, and it was well worth it for sure.
I was at the dentist today getting a debridement and nice cleaning. And
you like to have fun.
Laying back, they had a TV right up there, and all they had was buying Alaska on. So all these people were buying these houses, these great places in Alaska. It's like, wow, that looks pretty nice to live there. I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, nice mountains around, and
it was beautiful. I'll tell you that.
It doesn't get as freezing cold here. It gets cold, but it's not as cold, below zero.
That's weird.
Right.
I know.
I think if you live there and become a citizen of the state, like after 5 years, you start getting the oil money. They give everyone 25 years ago, it was like $5,000. It's probably 10 or 15 grand. They do some oil profit skimming, and they give it all up to the residents of the state. So.
Well, that's interesting. I have not heard that.
I don't know if they still do it, but like I said, that was like 25, 30 years ago.
So in Anchorage, is it really strange hours there as well? I know that when you get a little farther north, they have 16-hour days or nights, depending on the season or whatever it is. 18-hour days.
Yeah. Even in Juneau, when I was there, we partied on the beach on the 4th of July, and it was still sunny at 11 at night. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I suppose if you live there a long time, you're used to it, and you don't know any different. But it seems
and then it flips November, December, January. It's all dark, man. You get a couple hours. The sun will come up at 2 and set at 4.
See, that would be tough.
Yeah,
it would be tough. So let's get into you're a man of a few different things there. It seems like you're doing a couple of different things in your life. You're a photographer. Correct?
Yes, I am. And real estate is my main thing.
Your main thing?
Yeah. And so everything else has kind of blossomed from that.
Okay.
And I'm just following opportunities. That's literally all it is.
Okay.
Is follow the opportunities that God gives you and try to make the most out of it. I don't want to be that type of person that just sits home and doesn't do anything and watches the world pass by in front of them.
Sure. Well, why real estate? What do you like about that?
I like helping people. I know it sounds cliche, but it really makes me feel good when I protect someone and help them get into a house or sell a home, and they end up in a great position because of it, and that they walk away feeling like, okay, I did the right thing for myself.
Yeah, it's a big moment in someone's life.
It's
sell a house
huge.
or move out.
It's huge. And I think sometimes some agents take it for granted. And it's like, it's the largest purchase or investment most people make in their lives.
Yeah.
And you've got to treat it that way. And it doesn't matter whether it's $1 million home or it's $100,000 condo, because it's important. It's very important to each one of those people, regardless of what the price point is. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing right by them.
So do you work for a company, or do you work on your own? You by yourself?
No, I work for Coldwell Banker. I was at Edina Realty for 14 years and then switched over to Coldwell and have been there since, and will probably continue to stay. I mean, it's a great company. Edina is good too. It's really more about the management that you have and the team that you have around you, the support group, and then also too the different things that they give you to help make you successful. And there's always a shift and things change, and it's like any business that you're in. People always try to sell you on these things. And it's like, well, some of it works and some of it doesn't. And before you make a decision and jump, you better really pay attention as to whether it's smoke and mirrors or it actually has value.
Sure. Do you have a region that you sell in, or do you sell all over the place?
I work the entire Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. I will go as far as Elko south and as far as Elk River to the north. I've been doing this for 23 years, so I'm about 95% referral now.
Okay.
And so I'll go wherever you go. Doesn't matter to me. I have never believed in specializing in anything, because 30 years ago, it probably made a big difference that if you worked in, I don't know, wherever, St. Anthony.
Right.
Okay. You knew St. Anthony better than anyone else because you sold a lot in St. Anthony and you were limited to the information you could get. So it was hustling on the street and it was learning the area and the neighborhoods and all that. Now you could drop me, I don't know, in Boise, Montana or Boise, Idaho, wherever, and I could probably get a house listed inside of 2 hours. I have all the technology. I just need to know how to utilize it.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's changed.
Well, and you've been into it for a very long time. And obviously you've seen quite a bit of ups and downs with the market.
Oh,
Some
gosh,
pretty bad times, I'm sure, during COVID.
Brutal.
Was that the worst that you've ever seen it?
No, actually, COVID was very good. I was very busy. The two hardest times that I've had in real estate in the last 20 plus years was the crash in 2009.
Yeah.
Was that the Freddie and Fannie?
Yeah, like if you, there's a movie about it called The Big Short. If anyone wants to understand what happened, it's all mortgage-backed securities. So essentially, they were wrapping really good paper with really crappy credit paper and trying to sell it to you as this thing that it's not. And a lot of people also, because there was like interest-only loans or partial interest only. So let's say your principal interest and payment was $2,000 a month, a regular house payment for 30 years. But you could choose the option where you're only paying part of your principal or none of your principal and only interest or part of interest. So then your payment is like $1,200 a month. Well, where's the extra $600 going? It's actually going on the back end of your loan. And so people that should have bought a $250,000 house, which would be perfect for them, were buying $450,000 houses because the payment was the same. Then the interest rate goes up because it's a flexible loan.
And that's an ARM, isn't it?
An ARM, and that's where they get into trouble.
So what the amortization? What is that? The amortization.
Amortization schedule.
That becomes obsolete.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, and it gets people confused. And I know that there was some predatory lending going on. Yeah. But I would also be willing to say that the majority of the people that got themselves in trouble, it was their fault that they got themselves in trouble because common sense would dictate.
I bought a condo in 2007, and it was probably more than I should have, but it was no money down. It was just like sign some papers. Here's the key. It's $250,000. So
Wow.
I say that in 2007, I realized I can't afford this. And by the time I went to sell, the crash had happened, and no one was paying $250 for the condo I just spent all that money on.
Right.
So it was a mess. Yeah, it kind of screwed me a little bit. But again, I probably should have done some better math and figured out, what can I really afford and what am I doing here? But
You should have
it was
called
just
Tommy.
so easy. Here's the key is pretty much how it went.
Right.
But in all fairness, too, to you, this isn't what you do every day. So really, some of the onus should have gone on the shoulders of the people who are there to protect you and help you and guide you through it. I mean, some of it's common sense.
I think there was lawsuits after that. So I did, like 4 or 5 years later, I did get, some checks for like $3,000 here, and then one just showed up for $1,800. So Bank of America was shelling out. I think the public backlash, it was probably just pennies to these huge banks, but they had to like have some sort of consequence. So
absolutely, and they should be held accountable because there are predatory lenders, but you also have to be smart about what you do and don't buy beyond your means. Don't be house poor and don't put yourself in a bad position. So that was really tough.
They were super aggressive and on top of that, I'm poor, I can't afford this place. They were so aggressive. They would call every day, 2-3 times a day. I would say, what the hell? And I think that was one of the lawsuits that they had to pay for because they weren't following protocols like that.
Well, I can tell you in my 23 years of doing this, only one client I've ever had has been foreclosed on. And I knew it was going to happen ahead of time. And I begged him not to purchase this house, but he had to have this house in Egan that backed up to a pond. He wanted to be on water, and I understand that. But I said, gosh, if you buy this one in Farmington for $30,000 less, it won't strap you. You'll be in good shape. But he just wouldn't listen, and sure enough, he extended himself farther than he should have, and within 2 years, he was out.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And then the other has been the last couple of years have been really rough because the interest rates were so high. So there's a lot of people who just literally can't afford that monthly nut. Or you have people that are older like me that want to downsize and get into, say, a townhome, one level living, get out of their 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes or whatever it might be, and they're at 3.5% interest. Why would they take on a 7% or 6.5%?
Right.
And even though they would owe less, it just doesn't make sense. So they're just waiting it out.
And I think we did pretty well when we purchased the place that we're in now.
Well, it's a lovely house.
Yeah, and we've been here since 1998. But we bought the place I believe we got it for $115,000.
Oh yeah.
And it was dirt cheap, but the interest was high. I think we're paying like 7.75, but
right now, no, it's 2.75.
No, when we bought the place, but
almost paid for.
Yeah, and
awesome.
the thing is now it's like under 3% because we refied, but we did it right the first time, so we didn't have to worry about it. And now a home
30 years later.
Yeah, a home is something that you have to keep improving upon. So this place,
you had all that extra money for that fancy ass bar and all the microphones and
that we did.
Yeah.
But I mean, the place here doesn't even look the same. You would not recognize it from when we bought it to what it is now. It's changed so much.
Right.
The only thing that stayed the same is the outside of the building itself.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's undergoing its third siding.
Yeah, third.
If you haven't noticed,
siding and roof and everything else.
There are third roof and.
But it's interesting. And realty has always been pretty interesting for me. We have association here, and the realtors have to go through the association to get all the documents to sell and stuff.
Brett gets to charge them.
and
Nice.
charge them, but it's not that much. I think we charge $75 for all of the forms.
That's
everything.
cheap.
And it's
Exactly.
super cheap.
That's what I was trying to tell him.
Yeah, really
but
cheap.
we do it for $75 because we got a template. It just copy and paste takes about half an hour to get all the documents. That's worth $75 at the time.
Absolutely.
And it helps. Another thing that I look at it when we do it for that cheap. As
they're going to be our neighbor.
They're going to be our neighbor.
You know what I
So
mean?
Yeah.
the last thing we want to do is
exactly
piss anybody off.
You owe me $500. You know what?
Well,
Sorry.
and I'll toss something out there at you. We were just talking about this today. A myriad of different conversations go on at my office, and one of the agents brought up, which I thought was really interesting, that we're starting to see a lot of trouble with HOAs.
Yeah.
And the trouble is coming. Yeah, the trouble is coming with like the cost of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a condominium,
my God, yeah.
and you are in a condominium that's built 30 years ago or more, there's going to be extra add-ons, so that's going to drive the price up.
Yep.
But there's been a backlash. There's people who do not want to buy in an HOA because they're seeing all of these Karen videos online.
Oh my God, yeah.
And
that's
I'm wondering if that's driving some of it, because people are like, I don't live by her.
100%. I would agree 100%.
Oh, people get along so well nowadays. I mean, that would never happen.
But and that's the thing. It's myself and another guy that we run the association for the property that we live here. He does new contracts. I do existing stuff, but we're all neighbors. We talk to each other.
That's huge.
You know, everybody doesn't always get along, but in the long run, we do our best to make sure that we're all.
And it's all
neighbors.
volunteer.
It's all
I'm
volunteer.
the treasurer. We don't get
And
paid.
Brett's the guy with the gun too. So
That usually keeps everyone in line. Well,
the badge comes with it. So, yeah.
and I think people just have to learn to not be overreactionary. There was someone at my office was telling me a story today that in her neighborhood, they have a limited association because it's single family homes. So it's about $200 a year, and it's mostly for signage, but they have rules and regulations because they don't want, cousin Eddie parking his RV out in front for 2 weeks.
Cousin Eddie.
And somebody brought like a really nice RV and they parked it in front of their house, and they were just literally cleaning it out because they owned it and they were going to move it later that day. It hadn't been there 8 hours. And rather than the person just coming to them, asking them about it, they left this really nasty note on the windshield of the RV. And it's like, well, gosh, if you would have just come to me, I would have told you we're just cleaning it out.
Yeah, Brett does the exact same stuff around
Yeah.
here. All you have to do is get out of your house, walk down the steps, and knock on someone's door and talk to them.
It's not that hard to go and talk to somebody.
Exactly.
One of the biggest problems is like, we have a guy that he's got some disability now, but and one of the guys in the complex, but he's just, and he would say, I'm just lazy, but he wouldn't put in the association payments right away. All I had to do is walk over to his house, knock on the door. Hey, can I get the payment? And he goes, oh yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
And that was it. But then they got a lawyer to have the lawyer. The previous presidents would get lawyers to sick the lawyers on them and send them a nasty letter. And then who pays for that? That went on
for months and months.
Who pays for that at, I think it's like $200 an hour.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
I've seen
that went on for months,
and all because nobody wants the confrontation.
No,
and the thing is, for me, confrontation is, I deal with it every single day. That's part of my job. So it's not a problem. It's not really confrontation. It's going up and say, hey, what can I do for you? Is it because you need some help here, or why aren't you getting it paid on time?
And he did need help.
Well, now he needs help because he had a stroke, and now it's hard for him to get around. But he's got his sisters and his fiance that help him out. But the thing is, there's people that circumstance really hinders them. And that's, so we try to help them out. You just talk to them.
I've been blessed in my life to have several people who've helped me, and one of them in particular is a mentor. His name is Larry, who is now retired. But Larry had so many, I call them Larryisms. He's taught me so much, and it's more than real estate, even though he was in real estate. Mm-hmm. It's life lessons. And one of the things he always would say is see them as innocent.
Yeah.
Because more than likely they are, and that would be the perfect example. And sticking a lawyer on someone's not going to solve the problem. Yeah, it does short term, but it's going to then create other issues elsewhere because now there's hurt feelings and there's
animosity. Yeah.
Life is hard. Get a helmet. Realize that there are issues, but you can talk it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like even in my industry, there are so many real estate agents that won't answer the phone. They text me and I call them and they won't answer the phone, but they'll text me back again. I think they're so scared of having a bad confrontation. And that's when I get frustrated, because it's like, if we just had a 5-minute conversation, we could solve all of these issues rather than spend the next day and a half texting back and forth.
The same conversation that can be 5 minutes long.
Totally. And, yeah. And so I think some of it's just, it's a generational thing where.
That's because Gen X is the rock of society now.
Yeah.
Gen Xers, they're the ones that'll talk. Those are the ones that'll, confront if they need to confront. They're the ones that'll back down. They're the ones that see things in a different perspective. And then you got, your millennials that have to have constant attention, and then the Gen Zers that have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Like no clue.
So, and it's funny because
$1 million listing, Los Angeles, they pick up the phone and they're like, final offer, they go back and forth a little bit.
Well, just going into a house.
Texting, right?
Going into a house, people don't understand what it takes to maintain it, to have it, to fix it. I mean, just like you said, how many times have you changed this place throughout the years? And if you don't have any of those skill sets to be able to do that, and then, I have a lot of those skill sets, but just, what does the HOA, cover? What, who's doing what?
Yep.
And what's all involved? Because I guarantee you 90% of people do not read all of that paperwork.
Oh gosh, no.
It's just so much.
And so what I do is if I have a client where we're working on one right now where we got all of the documents, and I read through everything, because I've read them so much, I kind of know what to look for. And then I just sent them a summary. I still encourage them to look through and read it, but I'll say, okay, guys, you can rent this, but here's what you have to go through if you ever had to rent it. If you want to have pets, here's the height and weight limit, or the number or breed restrictions, things like that.
Right.
Here's that you can plant flowers or a garden in the back, but you can't do this or that. It's usually pretty basic, those types of things. But the one thing that the younger people have going for them, or all of us right now, is there's nothing you can't learn on YouTube.
No,
that's true.
Now granted, there's a skill. I think there is a skill to sanding wood floors. I think there is a skill for mudding and taping, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn how to fix a light or a light switch or something minor by just watching it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people
They're lucky that way.
They don't want to try.
No.
They just have zero, and they don't even want to paint a wall.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the whole thing, it's like the phone. The hand is the phone. I mean, it's stuck to their body. But you're saying like with YouTube, yeah, you're right. There's anybody can learn anything. I mean, I get on Facebook these videos of this young kid, probably in his early 20s now, but he learned Chinese from watching YouTube.
Wow.
If you've seen him, and he speaks perfect Cantonese. I mean,
Really?
His videos are him going to like Chinatown, and he sits down and he's like, at the menu, what's this?
Song, that song guy? Yeah.
Then he starts talking in Mandarin, and the Chinese
so he can
folks
read
are
and
like,
write it too.
yeah, and they're like,
And he pulls
Looking
pranks
around,
on.
yeah.
He pulls pranks
Wow.
on a lot of people too.
right.
Who's this Yankee over here?
But he went to China, and he was sitting down in a park, and he's got the Chinese
Newspaper.
paper out, and he's reading, and a guy comes up and he points at him. He goes, "Do you know how to read that in Mandarin?" And he goes, "Yeah, I know how to read that." And he starts reading the newspaper off to him, and the guy was like,
Yeah.
"Lord."
That's
the
amazing.
Chinese girl recognized him too.
Yeah.
You're so
Or
and so.
so-and-so. But I think
He's famous,
it's funny, but the newer generation, they go right to YouTube to learn whatever they want to learn.
Yeah,
but-
where it's like when we were kids, if I had to change the oil. You didn't bring it to, Jiffy Lube. There wasn't
No.
a Jiffy Lube. I had to put it up on the stilts, and
Yep.
I changed the oil. My dad showed me how to change it. He showed me how to work on a carburetor.
Mm-hmm.
Showed me how to, change out the fuel
Yep.
lines, and
I've changed transmissions. Yep.
And after a mouthful
But if
of
you-
oil later.
I did get a mouthful of oil the first time I did it.
Oh my God.
I just think that if a person hasn't gone into the full mode of adulting, they shouldn't own a house.
Yeah.
You have to-
There's some truth to that.
Yeah, you have to be an adult or just do the adulting things, the things that you don't want to do.
But I don't want to portray all of the younger people that way because it's
No.
not true. I mean, I work with a lot of amazing people these younger people in their early 30s, late 20s that have saved 20%, which you don't have to buy a house. That's a
Right.
big myth. But they've saved money, they understand it, and they are well within the what their range would be, and they're willing to do minor repairs. We need to get back to that idea that your first home is your first home. It's
Right.
not your forever dream home.
No.
Your third home
Yeah.
is probably your dream home. For
Right.
most
Well,
people.
for most, like for us, this is our first home, and
Not me. I was
she had a condo.
I was a homeowner when I was 25.
Well,
But
yeah.
she owned a condo, but our first actual home. This is it, and we just stayed. I mean, we looked at different homes and stuff like that, but we have so much space that the home we'd move into would be the same space, and then
So why move? So why make a
move?
lateral
Yeah.
move? Yeah. And usually what I see is it's either people that are downsizing because they want to get to the one level living because they're older, or they are looking to expand. Like one of the big things during the COVID era was so many people working from home. Now they're short a bedroom or a second
Right.
office. So they were almost forced to move because they needed that space. But if you have a house like this that's lovely, that works for you, why wouldn't you stay? There's nothing better or greener on the other side of the fence. It's more to solve a problem. I mean, I've lived in the house we're in now for 29 years.
Yeah, I owned a
Right.
studio. So when we moved here, it was like a mansion.
Of course. Yeah, it's amazing how your perspective changes. And that hasn't changed for the younger people because a lot of them are coming from apartments. So then when they get into a townhome with twice as much space, it feels like a mansion.
That's the other thing that I don't really understand is that the amount people are paying for 1 and 2 bedroom apartments is way more than a mortgage.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy what they cost these days to rent.
I looked at it last year, like the end of last year out of curiosity. And on average, this is just Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, for 744 square feet with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, it's $1,650 a month.
jeez, I mean,
Now,
I wish.
Yeah, but if you,
Pat, I gotta
Right.
think
Well,
about
no,
where
I'm paying.
Patrick's at.
Well,
we're
yeah.
sorry, Patrick.
But then if you're in a nicer area of Minneapolis, then that same breakdown is $2,250 a month.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a lot of money. And my son and his girlfriend were living in Bloomington. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It was condo, townhouse type thing, and it was rental, and they were paying almost $2,400 a month. It was
Wow.
a newer building, So now we've got them in a house, and their house payment is exactly the same as what their rent would be now this year. And as soon as the rates drop, they'll just refinance.
And it's amazing though too, because instead of forking your money into somebody else's mortgage, paying off their mortgage and giving them equity, you're doing it for yourself finally.
Right.
And it's just kind of the best thing to do all the way around. I can't understand anybody spending, $2,000, $2,500 for rent when you could have a pretty decent home for that. I mean, literally.
Unless you're a nomad, I have a
Yeah.
couple of friends who have been swearing they're going to move to New York City for 40 years. And so they've never owned a house. And it's just like, you're not going anywhere, man.
Well, the other thing though too is why I went to a townhome was the fact that I didn't want to buy a lawnmower. I didn't want to buy
Yeah.
the hoses and water the lawn and do all that because it's a lot of work. I mean,
Right.
it's just that time out of your day that you have to spend raking leaves or whatever. Then we got shoveling driveways or
That's
whatever.
what
It's
Brett
a
wanted to
lot.
get a house, and I'm like, yeah, right. He goes, no, I'd love to mow the lawn. I'm like, yeah, right. Are you
Well,
kidding me?
let's get this straight. Gene just didn't want
Shut
to
up.
see me in plaid shorts, white socks pulled up to my knees,
Black socks with brown shoes.
yeah, with brown shoes, driving that thing around.
But it's a perfect
Yeah.
alternative for someone like yourself that doesn't want to do that. And I know a lot of people that are musicians that they count on that because they're not home to mow the yard. And
Right.
I think that sometimes the HOAs get a bad rap because when you break it down, when you don't have to pay homeowners insurance because the hazard insurance is included in your monthly association, it's pretty darn close at the end of the day for your cost to maintain per month or per
Right,
year.
right.
Mhm.
It gets a bad rep because everyone is like, oh, well, I don't want to pay that. It's like, well, you are paying it in a different way,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You get your all your stuff taken care of, and that's I spend about $350 where I'm at $350,
Which is
a month.
about average,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And
you
they
know-
take care of your water, your garbage.
Well,
your
that's
yard.
the other thing though is that it's funny because now the HOA is in charge of hiring certain people
Right.
to come in and do those things. Well, sometimes those contractors aren't as reliable as other contractors. I
True.
mean, like
Yeah.
one time they only shoveled half my driveway.
Why?
Well, my truck was there, so they didn't do the hand stuff. They only did the plowing stuff. And I'm like, you left all that snow in front of my right.
Great.
What do you? Great, thank you.
Patrick doesn't have to worry about that. He just goes down to the pool.
Yeah, Patrick.
That's right.
Well,
That's
having a pool is a lot of money, right? In the
Well,
HOA.
so and that's the thing too, is like I'm actually an apartment liver. I will not buy a house for several reasons, but it just fits my lifestyle better. I'm bound, and I'm sure the inventory is different in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but in Sacramento, they're building like crazy, but they're only building these 4-bedroom, 3 baths, cookie cutter houses that are starting at $500,000. And that's great if you're a family of 2, you got 2 incomes. I don't. I have my daughters 3-4 days a week. I am moving out. I'm in the 8th year of my lease, but for me to pay, I'm paying $1,900 for a 714 square foot apartment.
Okay.
And for me
Wow.
to pay for a house, I could probably go up to like the $2,500 range.
What about the
But
condos?
that would put me out of the location I'm at right now, because all the houses here are not affordable. The ones that are affordable are in really bad neighborhoods, or they're out in the sticks, and I don't want to drive a half an hour back and forth to pick my daughters up from school. So I'm kind of going to just get out of this apartment complex. There's townhomes I can rent, which are about 3 blocks away. I'm going to go do that. And
What about buying
be
a
happy
condo
with
there,
it.
Patrick? The
What's
condo and apartment are the same thing, pretty
Well,
much. Tracy,
yeah,
when you
but the
buy.
problem with the condominiums is, again, it goes back to that over 30-year rule where all of a sudden, like, I can sell you
Yeah, there's
I could
a
sell
perfect
you.
example. There's a condo I'm interested in really close. The HOA is $670 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
plus we're in a floodplain. I don't know if people realize Sacramento's flat, and if one of the levees break on the river, this place is under 20 feet of water. So you've also got the fires that'll affect
What
all
floor
sorts of
do you
things.
live
My
on,
car
Patrick? You
insurance
might
just
wanna
went up for $25 for no
You might
reason.
wanna consider
Well, I
what
know
floor
why.
you
It was
live
the
on.
LA fires.
But no, but
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. It works perfectly for you, Patrick, because you're in a completely different situation. But like with the condos here, to your point, I could sell you one for $150,000, but you're looking at $800 to $900 a month in association fee
because of the
Yeah.
pool.
because of the pool, the
Patrick,
tennis
do you have a
court.
pool?
He's got a pool.
You got a pool?
Yeah.
He's got
I
a
got a
nice
pool.
pool.
You probably have a weight room too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a weight room, pool, workout. We got a what's it called? A media center with a bunch of Apple.
How many
computers
square
in
feet
it.
did you
Yeah,
say,
it's like
Patrick?
714.
Oh wow.
So he lives in a tin can
Yeah. Well,
But
and
yeah, I
also-
mean, it's well
with
over
a pool.
$200 a square foot, which I think is ridiculous. But at the same time, it's the market. So
Well, and it's where you're
roll
at.
with
I
it.
mean,
Yeah, and I think that that's the hardest part for me as a real estate agent, because I want to give this information to people, but it's no one seems to care. What they care about is finding a house, and then they worry about all of this other stuff later. And it's like, if you would just sit down with me and let's have a conversation, I can in 10 minutes give you some advice that's so good you won't end up in a position that you're going to have a problem, because I'm not a real estate agent. I mean, I'm a licensed realtor, but I am a risk management mitigator. That's what I do for
Sure,
them.
sure. So, I mean, the thing is, I think people. How many people do you have that are trying to keep up with the Joneses? You know, they have a friend that lives in this area and they want to live there too, or they want something that, I want to live in Edina, like the guy that you were talking about that had to live here.
Yeah, I have a few, but not too many, because what I've learned over the years is that when you get in with a certain group of people, they have a tendency to have similar friends and family in their lives. So most of the people that I work with are relatively conservative. Not too many of them are the keeping up with the Joneses people, but I've had clients before where we're talking like they make between the two of them $500,000 and they've got $350,000 in credit card debt and they can't even afford a $200,000 house.
Wow.
And then they're pissed. And it's like, what are you pissed about? You got $350,000 worth of debt at 30%.
Yeah.
Because when they go on a vacation, they can't just go, okay, well, here's our choices of 10 great hotels on the same beach.
Yep.
We've got to stay in the suite. We've got to be at the most expensive $1,000 a night place, or I have to drive a $1,500 a month leased Range Rover. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can't afford it, or it really puts you in a bad position, it's going to affect you in other areas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's like it's living within your means.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
all about that. You know, and for me, it's always been, you know, when I was in college, I got into some debt, trying to college loans and credit card stuff, trying to make it through college. But I came back home, paid all that stuff up. And after that, I learned real quick that I use the card and I pay off the card in full every month.
That's the key.
And that's, if I can't pay it off full every month, I'm not getting that purchase.
Right. And I think that's a great analogy of looking at that living within your means, because I'd read a article a few weeks ago that said the average American right now has $30,000 in credit card debt at 30%.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. That's a huge amount of debt.
That is ginormous.
Yeah.
$2,500.
It's a lot. I mean, and
I had that about 2.5 years ago, but I've paid down half of it, and so I
Good
learned
for
that
you.
lesson the hard way. But I got a deal. I got it all settled for less than the 30% of a rate. But
Smart.
I would have paid the minimum payments for 60 years and still been in debt. So
Yeah, because you're set
I
up.
went to one of those programs that they
Help
pretty
you
much
out.
just close your account, ruin your credit, but then you start building back up again. But
Well, and then that's
they
the
negotiate
thing.
the rates with the creditors.
You're set to lose. They set you up to lose in a situation like that. You can't win. So
Right.
paying it off every month is the key to everything.
well, and now if you pay it off every month, like for me, it was like, I'm going to get the credit card that pays me back because I'm paying it off every month.
Yeah.
And now it's, I've got a couple of cards that pay back 5% cash, 3% cash, stuff like that. And I'm telling
Get
you,
exclusive perks at the airport.
oh
and
my
stuff
God.
like
Yeah.
that.
It works great. And they hate me because I pay it off in fact, one of my credit cards just upped the limit to like $25,000. I don't need $25,000 limit ever. I'm not going to go buy a car with it.
Yeah.
But
That's what they want you to do.
But they want me to do that, but they keep upping the limit. And it's like, but I will always pay it off in full every month, because I just don't want to go back to the way I was when I was in college and I was broke, and I did, I had to do the same thing as you did, Patrick. I had to go through a credit counseling service.
Yep.
And luckily I was in my early 20s. I think I was 22 at the time. And within 2 years, so I was 24, paid it off, got a good job. And then after that, I was like, I'm living within my means. And I did.
And you're lucky you learned at such a young age, because that's a lesson some people still to this day haven't mastered. And it's a tough thing to do, to live within your means. So yeah, you run into it sometimes. And in that situation, there's some situations I can't help people. I can't do anything for them because they're just not ready.
Right.
So then I try to get them in touch with people that can help them to get them ready to go.
Now, go ahead. Go ahead, Patrick.
Well, I was going to ask Tommy, for me, I'm going to downsize, the other thing about apartment living is I'm probably got about 15 to 20 years ish of work.
Yeah.
And then my dream is to get an RV and do RV life after that,
A lot of
so I'm going to
folks
drive
do that.
around. Yeah. And but I also learned about this too. What's this trend? If you have a large backyard and you buy a chunk of land and put a 1 bedroom in it, or maybe the homeowner does that and then sells it to somebody or rents it out. It's almost like putting a tiny home in your backyard and then selling it or renting it. I forget what it's called, but I think I've heard something about that.
The biggest issue, at least here, is we don't see that much because you have postage stamp lots. So say like Bloomington and Richfield, the lots are a little bit larger there, but they still will only allow X amount of percentage of the lot to be covered, whether it be the house, the driveway, and that sort of thing. So what I have seen people do, my brother did this. He lived in San Mateo. He had a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, Rambler, like what I grew up in. And it had a garage with a 2-story. And what they did is they went to all or many of the local large companies and said, if you have an executive that needs to live here for 3 months, what are you looking for, your criteria? So they remodeled it and turned it into a 1-bedroom studio apartment. And they did extremely well for close to a decade. It was rented nonstop.
Above the garage.
Right.
Yeah.
My brother actually, him and his wife out in Woodbury, bought a second house. They lived in a really nice house in Woodbury, bought another lot. And my brother, who was a St. Paul police officer, knew some people and in 3M. And we bought the house and said, well, put your execs in here. We got a house. And they said, perfect. And they paid his mortgage for a decade, putting executives in. And not only did they pay the mortgage, but they paid it and some. I think they paid it off in like no time at all because they were paying so much to put their executives in this really nice house in Woodbury.
Yeah.
that was just right, not too far away from 3M.
Mhm.
So, and they did that. It worked out perfect for them.
It's amazing how many options there are. The problem is that too many people don't read about or investigate their choices. They automatically jump in and they want to flip houses. Well, that's all
Right.
fine and well, but so does everybody else.
Mhm.
And if the numbers don't work for you and you don't understand how much it's going to cost you to get from point A to point B to make it a saleable product and actually make money for all of your effort, you're better off not doing it. And
Right.
I can't tell you how many phone calls I get from people that want to invest and buy a house and they want to be a landlord. Great. Love it. First question is okay, so where's your down payment coming from? Because it's going to be 25%, give or
Right,
take.
right.
Oh, I was going to take it out on a credit card. Okay, well, good luck to you because that
Brett
ain't
could do that.
happening. Yeah.
I heard
Brett's
you
got
could
25
get.
grand.
I heard you
Yeah.
could
Oh, I
take out
could
a
do it.
mortgage on an RV if it had a
Bathroom.
running toilet or something.
Yeah, it's considered a domicile, and
Wow.
but there are also ways to save money. So, there are some people who will they'll buy a duplex,
Right.
and they'll put it in their kids' names, so the kid lives there, but then they rent out the other half, and then they don't have to put as much down because their son or daughter is living in the place. It's
Right.
completely legal.
Right.
And that's a way where you don't have to put 25% down. Or if you're somebody that wants to live farther out of the metro, there are wonderful options. They're called, oh God, what is the name of it? I can't think of it right now, but it's a zero down program for,
Oh, wow.
it's called like a rural loan.
Mm-hmm.
And there's options, but
Isn't that called a tent?
Yeah.
Rule.
Well, they have a lot of those all over the
I
place.
know. I'm
So,
Not
yes,
necessarily rural.
yeah, inner city. But
Downtown.
so, what's the most expensive house that you sold, and where was it?
Let me think. New construction, 2.2
Wow.
million.
Wow.
It was acreage south of the river. So down out near Newmarket.
Wow.
But that's not what I normally work in. I normally work in the $200,000 to $800,000 range.
So
Now,
kind of the average Joe or junior exec kind of.
I would rather sell three $400,000 homes than one $1.2 million home.
Oh, I bet. I would assume that even kind of watching some of those TV shows when they're selling multi-million-dollar homes, how much effort you got to put into it, how much finesse. I mean, you are a brown nosing.
Pucker up because you're going to be kissing a lot of rich people ass.
just to get this thing sold, and you could probably sell your, like you're saying, your $300,000-$400,000
Tommy's got a pair of tap
so
shoes.
much faster.
That's a song and
You know?
dance.
And here's the thing, though. Whether you have a $100,000 condo or $1 million home, the marketing is the same. At the end of the day, it's all about price and condition.
Right.
So there's so much that goes into it with regards to social media, and because that's another thing that's changed.
Right.
30 years ago, open houses were great because all there was an ad. You maybe saw a photo with a description, so you'd go to the open house to physically see it.
Right.
Now we give them videos, photos, tax information, square footage, school info, everything you could possibly want. So the first showing is actually online.
And they have drones that will
Yeah,
go
I
around
saw-
the house.
Oh,
I
yeah,
saw
I've got-
one
yeah.
going through the house.
My
I'm
mom
like,
did that when she was selling her
Holy-
house. They had a drone and it went way up above the rooftops and the trees
Yeah.
and everything.
Oh yeah, and I have a drone and I do all of my own photography. But
Nice.
But here's the thing: it's like a QR code. QR codes were the thing for a long time. Well, they didn't really help us. So it goes back to the basics. But you have to do more than just put a sign in the yard, put it on the MLS, and expect that it's going to sell. Because people are now, they have such short attention spans. They're looking more online. So I do a lot of advertising where you might be reading an article on the alternative press or on whatever, and it's going to pop up and you're going to see it because there's some type of real estate tie into what you look for.
Right.
But
Those are called algorithms.
yes, algorithms. Yes.
Algorithms or
Algorithms.
orgasms. Or blah.
And so the thing is
It's like saying aluminum, aluminium.
aluminium. Yeah, exactly.
That's the Brit way.
Sorry.
So yeah, so it's all the same, whether it's $100,000 condo or $1 million home. You do it a little bit differently, but I think that there's some people who've bought into this nonsense that you put in an expensive ad in a certain kind of magazine.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, I personally would rather take my marketing dollars and spend the same amount of money as I would on one ad that only a handful of people are going to see,
Right.
and do placed Google ads, Facebook, Instagram, and get more folks to see it. Because to me,
Right.
it's more effective use of.
Well, and you do marketing well because, I mean, your Facebook alone is like 12,000 followers.
Yeah.
And then when you look at your Instagram, it's over 13, almost 14,000 followers.
Yeah.
You literally have like 28,000 followers on your socials, which
Yeah.
is amazing.
And
I
then when
mean,
you
it's
add
just
three
incredible.
sites to it, that's another 30.
right.
Holy
So yeah,
shit.
it's well over 60. So when I'm
Yep.
putting these videos up, because see, here's the other thing. Okay, let's say we all love golf.
Yep.
All right. We probably watch the golf games on television. We have clubs. We go out and play. And in the wintertime, we're following or reading articles, watching
Right.
videos, trying to learn how to hit the ball better, all of that. But with real estate, if you're not buying or selling, you don't really care, other than maybe you want to know what the value of your home is. So
Right.
my approach was, okay, rather than bother you about hiring me, I just want to stay relevant. So if I give you content that will interest you, then you'll keep coming back and you'll think of me, and it works. So I happen to love music.
Yep.
So I have really keyed in with folks who love music, just like other folks who would be, it would be golf or riding horses or fishing or whatever your thing is. And I just would rather entertain you with fun, interesting things, not be political, not be religious, and have you come back and enjoy what I'm posting.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally all it is.
Smart.
And I'm blessed because of the whole photography thing that I've been in a position where I can show you things that a lot of people will never see.
Let's transition
Yeah,
into that.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
just go into that, to the photography thing, because we've been talking about real estate a little bit, and
Sure.
and we have a number of topics that we want to kind of cover. You know, you have other ventures. So this photography, is it mainly homes, or what is it? What do you mainly? What's your focus?
Well, actually, it's funny that you ask, because how the whole thing started is I was frustrated hiring photographers to take photos of homes.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that they weren't excellent at what they did or they didn't give me beautiful images, but they're busy too. And inevitably, when I have X amount of photos and I show them to the client, there's at least 2 or 3 they don't like for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it would take a week or 2 to get them to back out to reshoot the 2 or 3 that needed to be done. And it got so frustrating that I'm like, well, how hard could this be? Well, it was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that to be able to keep control of everything. Same with the drone. Now,
Smart.
when I list a house, I do all my own photography, all my own video, all my own drone, because I can do it all inside of a 2-hour, section.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
And then
do all your own staging too, or no?
I don't believe in staging.
Oh, okay.
I do if it's like if you're selling grandma's house and everything looks like the couch we grew up.
Right.
Like, yeah, then
bake,
bring the
bake
stagers in.
cookies right
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
And please don't misunderstand. I am not saying that stagers don't have a place and that they don't have value, because there's some people who just won't listen, and you got to get the stager
Right,
in to go,
right.
look, this wall is horrible. You need to paint it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they won't listen to me, but they maybe would listen to the stager. But I'm very, very careful not to spend your money any differently than I would spend my own. And I feel like there's too many real estate agents that come in and they want you to do $50,000 worth of upgrades, and you still end up lowering the price.
Right.
Oh,
Because once you start, you can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we're having a battle right now with one where the carpet's older, but it's like, okay, well, if they put new carpet in, everything else is done, it's ready to go. If we put new carpet in, then chances are the person who walks through the door is going to hate the carpet that they chose.
Right.
Or they're going to be like, I don't want carpet, I want hardwood. Well, if we put hardwood in, they'll come in and go, well, I don't want hardwood, I want carpet. So you can't win. Why not let them choose what they want? But to answer your question, so that way I could control it. So if I had to reshoot stuff, I could easily go back and take care of that and do it. But it's a completely different animal than the music thing. So the music thing started because of my podcast that I'm a part of. And it was weird. I would go to these shows and I'd start to shoot locally for different websites and things like that. And I'll be I was backstage at Northern Invasion, which doesn't exist anymore. And I was walking back to the food area and I walked past John 5.
Oh, yeah.
I've never met John 5 before. I knew who he was, He's like, hey, Tommy.
I've never met him.
So for those, he was the guitar player for Marilyn Manson. Is that correct?
Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie. And now he is the guitar player for Motley Crue.
Yep.
He's like, oh, hey, Tommy. I'm like, oh, hi, John. and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I listen every week.
Oh my God.
And I've been in the pit before where like Randy, a lot of people won't know Randy. Randy Wetzel is the guitar player for a band I absolutely love called In This Moment.
Yep.
And so I had never met him. I'm in the pit shooting photos and he keeps looking at me and I'm like, which is great because you're taking photos and stuff. And then he, in between songs, he goes, hey. And I'm like, yeah. And he pulls up his sleeve and he's got this huge Gene Simmons tattoo.
Nice.
And he's like 3 sides. And I'm like, okay. So it's amazing how many friends I've made that listen to the show because they're on tour and they're Kiss freaks, just like me and my co-hosts. And so that started the journey of the photography, which led me to shoot festivals and led me to shoot all these other bands and gave me opportunity I just photographed most of the stuff for the latest Buck Cherry album. And I've been out, shooting these different bands and they've all been so incredibly kind and they'll give me an all access pass and say, well, here you go, do your thing. Nice. And I'll give them things and they'll hire me for stuff.
That's like a dream job.
Yeah. And I think part of it though is that I can honestly look you in the eye and tell you that I truly am there for the art of the photo. I am chasing the best photo I can ever take. And so they come at you on a different level because I'm not asking for their autograph. I'm not really asking anything of them.
Right.
And it really does change the way they view you.
They're asking stuff of
absolutely.
you though. That's
Right.
that's what it's kind of come down to, doesn't it?
You get the authentic
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Yeah. And also too, I think a big thing that people need to understand is that they're at work.
Right.
Just like you do a job. And so when they're at work or they're at the stadium, they've got interviews, they've got to get ready, they've got sound check, they've got meet and greets, they've got the show, they have to meet with promoters or whomever else is coming that night. That's why they can't always do what you hope they'll do.
Right.
Because there's just not enough time in the day.
No.
And so it's been a blessing.
You
and
get to capture all those moments.
Yeah. Well, I don't do the backstage stuff.
Oh, okay.
I mostly just shoot the live stuff. I've done some backstage stuff, but that's just not really my thing.
But, the photos that you've taken of the bands that I've seen are spectacular.
Thank you.
I mean,
These are all on your Facebook?
It's amazing.
Stacy took some good ones of Queensryche.
Yeah, he did.
Or no, I mean
Jeffrey Tate.
Jeff Tate.
Oh yeah.
But I really did like the stuff that you did with Hairball. And I love the fact that you do these short videos and you have a little bit, you talk about some of the stuff that you're looking at, what you're going to do, what's coming up, and then you get to see that little short. It makes me want to watch more.
Which I appreciate. Thank you.
Which is great. So the viewers out there,
Yeah.
make sure that you're checking Tommy Sommers, his socials, because
the guy that we met. The guy that we met on the cruise. He's an upcoming photographer.
Yeah,
Oh.
young kid named Aaron, and I've got all these DSLRs. I've got one that I don't use, and he's a young kid. He doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
And I go, well, if you, I'll send you the body of a Canon EOS SL1. You just need to get the battery, and you need just to get the lens. The lens. That's it. And you on eBay you can get both for probably $65.
Yeah.
Used in good condition. He goes, yeah. So I'm sending him this DSLR to him, this body, because he had his friends, and he had a Canon, and he was taking pictures, and he showed the pictures, and they were amazing. No schooling, no nothing. He just, all
Yeah,
the
the
things
eye.
he did. Yeah, he's got the
he
knack
came up
for
to
it.
us on the scenic deck and was like, "Hey, check this out," and was showing us all the pictures he did on his camera, and we were like, "Wow,
Wow,
That's awesome.
because we were watching. He was taking pictures of how the waves were going, and he was getting different angles and shadows and stuff like that. And let's see some of your stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
What do we
Wow.
look for on Instagram to find you, your account?
It's just Tommy Sommers, Sommers. That's all. That's my Instagram. Yeah,
Sommer, okay.
just my
Sommers.
name. Because that's the thing is I've always been one of those people that I never understood why so many photographers change the name and come up with a unique name, which is great. But then people don't know who you are.
Right.
So let's keep it simple. But yeah, you can't teach the eye piece of it. But I think the biggest mistake a lot of these photographers make is that nobody wants to see 100 photos of a band.
no,
Pick the best 10.
right.
nice."
That's it. End of story. You don't need any more than that. And quite honestly, most of the stuff I photograph, I don't like the hairball stuff. I don't post any of it. They post it. I'm like,
You just
"Here."
send it to them.
Yeah, I'm like, here's 100 or 50 or whatever. Do whatever you want with them. Now I've grown up with those guys. Michael Happy and I have been friends since we were 16.
Nice.
And so I've been with him on this entire journey since day one, back in the days of Jet Screamer.
Yep.
And so,
Oh, and I watched them. Remember Old Muldoons
yeah.
down in the basement, and
Yeah.
you'd see Happy. You'd be running around. That guy, it's got more energy than anybody I've ever seen. And now he's in his 50s, and he's
60.
60,
Yeah.
and he's got more energy than most people in their 20s.
And he battled cancer for 7 years.
That's
What?
incredible.
Yeah, and I was just in Des Moines last night. They played the grandstand, and they sold 10,000 tickets.
Yeah.
They sell more tickets than the Night Rangers or Queensryche, and that's not a negative towards any of those other bands, but you're getting 10 concerts in one.
Right. You get to see all your bands.
And everybody knows the song and the words to the
and yeah,
song.
it's great.
That's
you
great.
know, and I've known
Photobomb Gene Simmons. I
Yeah,
love that one. That's
Uncle Gene,
awesome.
yeah.
but I mean, and I've known Chris Vox for, decades.
He's another. They're all amazing,
And
but Chris
he's
is
awesome.
just the guy has more talent. I'm just like, I'm so jealous of him. He's so
and
talented.
you know what?
Yeah,
And
does
he's
he still play the beer garden at the state fair?
Yes, he does with
Yeah.
soup bones every once in a while.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just, when I worked out there, I'd go and see him. It was funny.
Oh, they're- and
what are you
they're-
doing in this bar, like this plain corner of a bar
Yeah.
at the state fair?
Well,
man? Get on a
Chris
big stage.
actually, when I worked for TGI Fridays downtown, we made the music room. If you remember that, Patrick. Chris, I called Chris up and I go, I need your help. We're putting together this music room, and I need your expertise on how we can set it up to get the most bang for a buck. And for nothing, he's like, yeah, sure. Came down. He was just happy putting together something that musicians could play in
because he loves it that
and he just
much.
loved it that much, and he helped me put this thing together, and it was fantastic. I mean, just love the guy. Oh, I mean, he's always been a decent person, and I love the guy.
They all are. And the interesting thing is people come up to me all the time because they want to do this photography thing. And the best advice I can give you is start small. I did. The first pictures I was taking were horrible because it takes time to learn, and you don't have to have expensive equipment. It's all about what you do,
see.
what you see, what you do with the equipment, and then your editing.
I think the first picture I ever took was of my friend, and we were smoking cigarettes, and we were in like high school, and she was blowing smoke rings. So I was taking pictures of her doing smoke rings.
In
And it probably
fact,
turned out really cool.
yeah,
I
in
did.
fact, my favorite picture of all time is a picture when Gene and I were in our 20s, early 20s. We went to London, and there's no such thing as a selfie. Gene probably took the very first selfie ever.
Probably.
And she took her camera, and it was her and I. She took the camera and took the picture, and it was the coolest. It came out perfect. It was the coolest picture I had ever seen, and I still have that. I have that.
That was one of those castles we went.
yeah,
I don't
we were
know.
at a
I don't know. That was in Ireland. No.
No, that was in England.
Okay.
It's one of the castles, but it
That's so
turned
cool.
out it just cool without even looking. She just put it up there, took the.
I should have
snapshot,
copyrighted the selfie.
and it was.
I was just going to
perfect.
say you're a pioneer.
But yeah, it was my favorite picture, and it always will be. But
So when you
I was such a half-asser in high school. You actually got English credit for being a yearbook photographer. So I got a camera and I became a
I wish I
yearbook
knew that.
photographer, and I didn't have to do an English elective.
Hell
So I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Sign me up.
So
I must
but
have missed that
It
day.
is cool. I get to look back on my yearbooks, and I'm like, underneath it says "photo by Paddles," and then I was like,
Yeah.
Pat, did you say
Kinda cool.
paddles?
did you say Pat Olson?
Pat Olson, because that's what I was going by in high school.
I thought you said
I hate
paddles.
Pat.
Paddles.
Paddles. Yeah.
So
Patrick. I
do
prefer Pat.
any of your photographs in any contest? You put those in contests or anything like that, or have you won any awards on your photos? Or
You get the 3-cent stamp. They need the 3 centers when the price goes up. Oh
Hey,
yeah, that's a good deal.
anything's possible, No, I mean, I've entered a few things in the state fair over the years. I completely forgot to do so this year because I do more than just music photography. I love landscape as well. But I forget to do that. And honestly, I'm not in it for any of that. Real estate is my full-time gig, but there's no creativity in real estate. So the concert photography thing is what feeds my passion.
Sure.
And that's why I do it.
Okay.
And I think that that's also part of what people need to understand if they want to be a photographer is,
It's not about the money. It's about the
Yep.
No.
Exactly.
And you can get paid, and I get paid for doing these festivals, but you gotta learn your craft. And I really believe in that 10,000 hour rule, that if you've done something for 10,000 hours, you should be pretty darn good at it. So you can't force it.
Right.
And don't be a dick.
That's-
Too many times.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
I like to take close-up pictures of flowers.
Yeah.
She's good at it. But you're right. Don't be a dick. I mean, that's
that's
goes
a
out
rule
to
of
just
life.
about-
That's just everything. Just
that's
don't
a
be a
total
dick.
rule of life.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't seem to understand that.
And I like
because-
food cam too.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
She does.
People show up in the pit and they have no pit etiquette whatsoever. And that's just being respectful of your fellow photographers.
Yeah.
Because there's enough room for everybody to get the shots they need. And unfortunately, we live in a world where I believe there's some people that are there that literally just want to stand in the pit. There's this one guy that we know that every time, this is not an exaggeration, for the last decade, every time we see him at a show, the first thing he says to one of us before we start is, what are your settings? What are you going to do with your settings tonight? It's like,
So
really?
you can get it from you.
Yeah.
Go learn your
Oh, because
job.
he wants to be in the picture.
No,
he
he's
wants to see what they're doing to make the good shots because he knows that they do great shots.
The
So
aperture
he's
settings,
do you ever
the
tell him?
lighting.
Do you ever tell him a
what's
complete
the
lie?
settings?
We tell him the wrong thing all the time just to mess with him.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter.
Awesome.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter. One guy showed up one night with a bucket. It's Home Depot bucket. We were at the Target Center. And we're like looking at him like, dude, what did you bring a bucket for? He's like, well, I need something to stand on. And I'm like, and we're all just like, okay,
my
so
God.
let me say, you stopped at Home Depot knowing you needed to stand on something. Why didn't you just buy like a short little 2-step ladder? They're about the
folds?
same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
folds?
and it like never even occurred to him. So here he is, like practically falling off on his
Oh my
bucket,
God.
trying to shoot these photos, and I'm just like,
Oh my God.
that's the worst part of it. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm here all week. Tip your waitress.
Yeah.
And that stuff just kind of floors me because that's what creates a problem for people like me as well. Like a really good friend of mine, his name is Andy Biersack. If you don't know who that is, he is the lead singer of a band called Black Veil Brides. And Andy and I go way back. And it was, again, we started as friends because he watched the show. Andy told me not too long ago, they don't even approve photographers anymore for their shows because he said most of them, the photos are so crappy that there's no upside for the band. So he's
Right.
like, why have them? And that's where we have a problem is everybody wants to get into it. And I understand that. I think there's room for many, but there's only room for people who are dedicated to want to make it happen. So I have to give a shout out to a couple of people. The first one is Hairball, because I really, really learned so much shooting a ton of Hairball shows because Michael believed in me, Happy, we're talking about, and he wanted me to do this. And he was integral in helping me get there. And the other one is Kyle Hansen, RKH Images. He lives here in town. Kyle is a master of photography, and he does a lot of weddings now too, but he's right there with me in the pit doing music photography, and he really, really was kind enough to help me out. Now, I've known Kyle for 30 some odd years. We went to the same high school, a little different timing.
Go Hairball, go Kyle.
Yeah. And so please, if you guys want a wedding photographer, RKH Images, please look him up.
RKH.
RKH, yes. And he was integral in helping me get going. And I'll tell everybody that.
That's very familiar, RKH. I think I've seen a lot of that.
Like if anyone that follows the page, Kyle and I make stupid videos all the time. So we'll go and here's the funny thing. Like, so we decided we're going to go on record store day, and we're going to hit as many record stores as we could, which was like 11. And so we made a 1-minute video. But the reason we made it was, of course, we want people to see it. But we made it because we want to help these record stores. We didn't go into the ones that we don't like. We went into the ones we like. And we said, hey, today right now we're at Electric Fetus. What I love about this one is their used section. Or we're at Barely Brothers. And what we love about that is they're used and they have some really good new, whatever it might be. And I think we had like 90,000 views.
Wow.
In the
That's
first
awesome.
day on those like 9 videos. I'm like,
Well, I remember we just watched one of the videos where you're talking about Billy Joel's album,
oh yeah.
and we were looking at that. And which one do I like the most?
Yeah. And that
You
was
know?
a goof. That started
Yeah.
accidentally. I bought a turntable. I hadn't had one in 30 years. And I was spending too much time watching TV I had the news on when I was working, and I was just getting more agitated. So I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I decided to buy a turntable, and I started buying records, which has been wonderful. So I have all these records in my office, and I just listen to music all day.
Yep.
And then I started putting pictures up of an album that I would buy. I didn't say anything, and people were making comments. I'm like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to make a video. So now I do this thing called What's on Your Turntable. And I just pull up a random record that I purchase and just say, hey, this is what I love about it. Do you like it? Do you like this artist? What do you think? And people love it.
It's brilliant.
Right.
It's crazy.
And it's great. I remember a while back on Facebook, they had name your top 10 albums, and you had to do each day, you had to put up an album, your favorite all the way down to 10, and write in why you thought it was that. Then you had to tag a friend, and then they had to do the same, and it would go on. I think it was awesome. But it reminded me of kind of that because, it's like I love the old school. I'm a metalhead, but I like old school Billy Joel.
Yeah.
The old school stuff. In the newer stuff, I'm like, I got a little.
When
too
he came out, I
poppy.
had a pair of moon boots.
Yeah. So Patrick, what was your favorite?
My brother, actually 5 years older than me, he had all the records. So when I got to be like 7, 8, he was 12, 13. So he kind of, had his record stash, and the Glass Houses was the first one I remember. I was like, this looks cool. This guy's gonna throw a brick through a window. I'm gonna put this on and listen.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go with that for nostalgia reasons. But yeah,
Nice.
that's also a great album.
It really is.
For somebody who's used to spin records you didn't really spin records back then. Yeah, that was probably gone by then, but music wise, but I mean,
He used the turntable to put his
No,
pizza on.
I started on records.
Yeah.
This is 1977, 78, 79 when I had an awareness about music, and that's a pretty good era to kind of, as a kid to start listening to music. So
it was a great era.
Oh,
I would sit in my room for hours and just listen to records in all of that. Like that's
Pink
how I became a
Floyd.
DJ.
Yeah.
It's constantly glued
Led
to the radio,
Zeppelin.
constantly playing records. So
That's
what I did.
how I became a guitar player, and did that guitar, bass. Started singing. I mean, part of the stuff down here is my recording studio. That
Brett wanted to be a rock star. He had
I
long
did.
hair and did a video.
Everyone did.
Yeah, everyone.
They
did.
took a video and had this bright light behind him, and he
Yeah, that
was
was
swinging his
Channel
hair
4.
around.
Channel 4 did that. But music was kind of integral for me, and I was always a part of it. But now it's taken a different step. But I mean, and it's cool to see someone that came out of the same area stepping into. You're still in the music scene, but stepping into it in a different way. Because I see a lot of people that kind of fall away from it, and they just don't do it anymore. They're just not involved with it anymore.
Well, I think as you age, you change, and my music taste has definitely changed. And what's ironic is I'm on a Kiss podcast for 13 years,
That's awesome.
and I have people sending me hate mail all the time telling me I'm not a Kiss fan.
What?
It's just like,
What?
yeah, oh God, yeah, yeah. We can unpeel that onion if you want, but
Oh, we are definitely
Okay.
unpeeling that.
Oh,
but
It's
here's
funny.
the
I've worn a Kiss T-shirt on this podcast
Yeah,
like
you
probably
did.
5 times.
Yeah.
And the one time I don't.
well, it's weird because I am not a heavy metal fan. I like heavy metal. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I like metal. It's just not going to be my first choice or
Go-to, yep.
go-to. I love all kinds of music.
Right.
So that's where the what's on your turntable thing came from. And I just think music, at least for me, it feeds my soul. And it was the one thing I had to turn to. I had kind of a rough upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one thing. And so I'm always open-minded to hearing different things. And I think that the people who tell you that there's no good music coming out anymore are cheating themselves. There are so many amazing bands. All you got to do is buy a ticket for a couple $100 and go to a festival for a weekend and just commit to watching every single band that you can. And you'll be shocked at how many cool bands there are.
Exactly. I remember back in Edgefest. And
Yeah.
Patrick was, I don't know where you were at Edgefest, but Gene and I went. And it was the first time that I ever, body surfed.
Yeah.
And Everclear was playing, and they're playing, and I'm all the way in the back, and I start getting closer and closer to the stage, and I don't see Gene anymore. And it comes up to the barrier, and they just threw me over the barrier. So I go flying down, I land on my head, and I'm like, and it was probably 10 feet, 8 feet. 10
did
feet
someone
tall.
make a comment?
The security guard runs over and he's like, "Oh my God, dude, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh my God." And then I remember, was his name Art? Is that it? The singer from
Yeah. Art from Everclear.
Everclear.
Yeah.
Kind of strumming along, and he's looking, he's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, and I'm like going, "Oh my God, I'm going to go backstage." No, they took me around the corner and then threw me out.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Some of the kids keep doing it over and over and over again.
They probably thought you were brainwashed or no head trauma.
I mean, he literally looked and went, "You okay?"
And that's what's interesting about how some of country music is changing. There is a band right now called Treaty Oak Revival that they are the shit, man. They get the crowd so riled up. I was in Montana at a music festival here 3-4 weeks ago. It's a Live Nation event. And they had the crowd so whipped up, I thought it was at a metal show. I mean, a sea of people as far as you could see, and these kids were, crowd surfing.
Mhm.
They were jumping up, and it was like a metal show. It was so cool. And that's what country western doesn't have. They
Right.
need more of that.
Right.
I tried
know.
crowd surfing once, and they got me up, and then they just dropped me on my back.
Yeah, that's
So,
They're like, I should have seen it coming, but yeah.
yeah. But, I mean, it's even like some of the photos that I think there was a photo that you took, I think it was Hairball, and it was a sea of people. I think it was Happy was standing there, and it was just the coolest photo because you got, Happy
Was it a
standing there,
panoramic?
and it was just the
Nope.
sea of people.
wide angle.
And it was awesome. I'm like, that it explains everything. I mean,
does.
when you look at it from that perspective, you understand the kind of the awe, the electricity, how when, like we had Lance King on and we had
Yeah. Who's amazing. singer.
Dave Gorman back from Mad At You,
Yeah.
played with Chris Fox and those
Yeah.
guys. And they both said kind of the same thing. You feed off the audience, and you look at the size of that audience and man, that would supercharge anybody. I mean,
How
it's
can it
just-
not?
Instant
Yeah.
rock star.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you've made it when you
Oh,
look
yeah.
out there. And I remember someone saying that to me once. I'm like, what does it take to, well, how do you know when you're a rock star? Is I think
And that's
and
it.
that was, and that was at O'Donovan's when there was a band that was playing over at First Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the band? It was a metal band that was over there. I'm like, how do you know you're a rock star? He's
I thought it was when you had a Wikipedia page.
yeah. Well, that too.
Or American Online.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the band, but they brought the entire, I mean, they came over and said, we're going to O'Donovan's. And some of the guys from American Head Charge told these guys, and they're like, yeah, you got to go see Brett over at O'Donovan's. So make sure you go there after the show. And all of a sudden these, rockers show up, long hair, look like, Harley Davidson riders. And they go, where's Brett? And I'm like, And I'm like, oh shit. Like, who's asking?
Exactly.
Depends on who's asking.
And they're like going, well, we were told by some of the guys from Head Charge to come and see Brett. Is he working tonight? I'm like, whew. That's me. It was Drowning Pool. Now I remember.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
know
like,
CJ.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh, phew, yeah, okay. So the manager is there, and and at the same time, there's a comedy show that was down the street at the State. If remember that, I think it was on MTV, one of those shows. It was Up All Night. I can't remember.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Where this comedian would go to these different cities and talk to the bartenders and the wait staff, what goes on after bar.
David Tell.
Hey, David Attell,
David
yeah,
Attell.
that's
Okay.
him.
Yeah.
So he comes walking in and he slaps down an American Express black card. And if anybody knows what an American Express black card is,
Yeah.
it's you have to spend $25,000 a month to have this thing. And
So you
he's
said
like,
that means you want the King Louis? Is that what you want?
well, he slaps it down and says, I'm a couple grand short this month. Do you think you can get it there? And I'm like,
give me a shot of
I
give
go,
me a shot of Louis.
are you
Jeez.
kidding? Yeah, we didn't have Louis, but I'm like, yeah, we'll get it there. And I go,
good
oh,
living.
by the way, and he looks over and he goes, who are those guys? I'm like, yeah, this, band, Meet David Attell, the Meet Band. And they were like hugging it out by the end of the night. But yeah, David made his $2,000, but there was a sea of people everywhere. It was so busy. I've never been that busy before. And those guys went up and they were singing karaoke.
You know
And
it
I
got
remember
ugly.
telling Remy Martin about this, and it's like, they're asking us, okay, hey Brett, pick us some songs, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick you some songs. Stand by Your Man by
Yep.
Tammy Wynette was one of them.
Yeah.
And then we did YMCA.
Classic.
But they loved it. I mean, they were up there. They were Stand by Your Man. They're doing a Blues Brothers style. The whole bar was screaming and yelling. I walked out of the bar like I was at a concert. My ears ringing.
Oh yeah, I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I was over at Sebastian Bach's house for the evening, because he's a Kiss dork like me, and all we did was listen to yacht rock all night. He's like, dude, I love this yacht rock, man, it's amazing, and that's what they do. Music is universal. If it's a good song, it's a good song. It doesn't matter who wrote it or who performed it, and some of that stuff is absolute gold now. It just wasn't cool at the time because you're like Maiden, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, it was great. I used to work Sunday nights at O'Donovan's, bartending, and we would have, I mean, the rock stars, they got to know that, hey, karaoke, this is the bar to go to.
Yeah.
And they would come over and they would just kill it. We had Amy Lee from Evanescence come out, and she's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
I literally almost kneed her in the face by accident, but she's a Jaeger girl, and she drank a lot of Jaeger and went up and sang. And,
God bless her.
yeah, it's great. And boy, the songs that she does, even that doesn't do her voice justice, because the stuff that she was doing wasn't any metal. It was all, either pop or, old school kind of rock stuff.
Yeah.
And wow, what a voice. Just
Yeah,
unbelievable.
She's amazing. I've seen them. I've photographed them a couple of times. They're amazing.
Yeah. And, I think I was lucky that I was able to experience those guys coming over. And it was just like you're saying, once they clocked out, it was free time. It's like, all right, now it's time to hang out, let loose a little bit, and hang out with our friends.
Yeah.
The fans and stuff. And it just loved working Sunday nights just for that reason.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you had so many wonderful experiences just because of that.
Yep.
And that's the other thing too, I think, and I get it. I mean, I understand that, some of these people, you're meeting your childhood hero, but they're, they put their pants on one leg at a time, and they're normal people. And I can't think of one person I've met personally that's been a jerk. Not one.
Mm.
But it's all in how you approach them.
Well, it's because they're
Right.
musicians and not movie stars. Probably.
Well, maybe so.
Yeah.
But I met Clint Eastwood, and he was the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. So that was
the older.
That's been my barometer.
The
from that
barometer
point
for-
forward. If Clint's going to be nice to me,
Anybody should be.
everyone should be. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I've been very fortunate in that aspect, and it's just been a nice ride. It's been a lot of fun.
You're very lucky, very fortunate. How many photos do you think you take per concert or whatever, or per year?
It depends. So like if I'm shooting a country western artist, I'll do one song. So maybe 50 pictures because they all look alike.
Yep.
Or if I'm shooting from the sound,
Yeah.
it's probably about the same thing.
Yeah.
But you put me in the pit at a Kiss show, and I'm going to take thousands.
Right.
I can't even tell you how many I haven't even looked at.
Oh, wow.
I think I went to at least 40 or 50 shows of their last tour.
Wow.
Anything with pyro. I was shooting Shinedown when they were here recently, and I took a ton of photos because it's pyro,
Right.
and nothing's cooler than pyro.
Sure.
And so it really depends. And I'm looking for that shot. I'm looking for the jumping off the amps or whatever. And that's the other thing. The rock people want you to take pictures of them. They know how to pose. They want the interaction. And then you have the country western artists, not all, but many of them who just stand there.
Yep. Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
Great musician.
He's unbelievable. Yeah, but he doesn't do anything.
No, he just sings. Yep.
So one
It's a show.
one
One song is plenty.
is plenty. Yeah.
So what is your favorite Kiss band as far as with Ace Frehley was the main Kiss, and you had all the other new guitarists. I know obviously Paul and Gene have been there.
The original four will always be the best because that's your childhood.
Yep.
But I got to tell you, I would say that the last incarnation with Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer.
Or Eric Singer.
Yeah. I mean, coming from Black and Blue.
He came from Black and Blue, and then
that
Eric,
was a great band.
Yeah, and Eric was in Badlands, and he played with Alice Cooper. He played with Black Sabbath. He played with everybody.
Everybody.
But he and Tommy are two of the nicest people you would ever want to meet. They are two of the most talented people you'd ever want to meet, and they are as professional as they come. And that's why they were in the band. They always showed up on time. They were always prepared. They always knew what they were supposed to do, and it worked flawlessly. So I would also say that last incarnation of those four, I'd say was almost equal to the original. Now, I'm going to probably get killed on my way home for saying.
And you're going to get somebody saying,
Sacramento.
you're going to get them saying, you're not a Kiss fan.
Yeah, we've had death threats.
And Patrick's got a Kiss story that he's told before.
It's my wife worked at a television station here, and they did a charity event. It was a walk or a run, and at the end, all the sponsors and the TV folks had this dinner at the ballpark, and there was a Kiss was going to play, and then so people could buy the tickets that were in the seats.
Yeah,
but on the baseball field, we had these tables. We had a nice dinner, and then it was like they just removed the tables, and I'm like, are we staying here for Kiss? I was like front frickin' row, and this was 2011, so this would have been that 4 that you talked about. And I got front row Kiss. It was like a bucket list thing for me. It was so awesome. Yeah. And I think I got a pick from Thayer.
I had front row Kiss,
but
I had front row Kiss, and I don't remember where they were playing. And I got smashed up against the barrier, and they had to pull me over the barrier, and my pants came down, and I was wearing a pair of no underwear. Thank you very much. But they let me stand there the rest of the night, and
was that during Shock Me?
And they kept throwing picks at me and stuff, and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
they're trying to put it down the crack of your ass.
I know, but the barrier was way high, so it was like the only way was to pull me over. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah.
And Kiss just got the Kennedy honors.
With Chris
Donald
Stapleton.
Trump apparently is a huge Kiss fan because he put him on the bill.
I know, right?
Yeah, and so. We've had death threats because we have said the thing about us for Three Sides is we're always going to tell you our truth.
Yeah.
We'll never lie to the audience. And there are some people that doesn't sit well with. They don't like the idea that I can still be a Kiss fan now to this day with what they were doing up until as of recent.
Just like any band, you evolve. I mean, you look at U2 compared to when they started and now. 2 different bands.
Completely different.
Kiss from then until
Oh, the
now.
music. I suppose the music.
Two different bands.
Yeah, but
know?
U2 also, though, they're special in the respect that they're like Cheap Trick,
Right.
where for the most part, with the exception of the last run, it's been the original four forever.
Right,
Same
right.
with Cheap Trick.
I suppose you get that with the same thing with Van Halen
But-
with the
but-
different.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, with David Lee Roth.
Right,
and
yeah.
right, but there's always evolution. You
Yep.
have to evolve, or otherwise you are going to just poof
Right.
away. And you do. You have to. I mean, for fuck's sake, Kiss put out a disco album.
Right.
But
And a movie.
it was cool.
and a
The
movie.
disco album was absolutely cool.
And they
I mean-
played, and Hairball played it last
Yeah,
night, and every
it's
single
just
person
great.
was singing along
Yeah.
to it. But I hear that argument a lot too with other bands as well. Like Buck Cherry, I absolutely love them. And there are people like, oh, it's just never been the same since Keith left, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? The last 3 records they've done have been in my opinion, some of the best work they've ever put out. And guess what? Keith isn't there. I'm not taking anything away from him or Xavier, but this band is amazing. And you owe it to yourselves to check them out if you like hard rock. They are more than just what that song Crazy Bitch is.
Right.
And I just think people just get too hung up on the originals because, well, what if one of them wasn't there and someone else had taken their place? You can't say that it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
And sometimes people want to
Oh.
quit, you know?
Look
so,
at Leonard Skinner.
well, yeah,
Drunk
there's
that
Yeah.
off for
well,
years.
Foreigner.
Yeah.
There's
Foreigner, yeah.
And Foreigner,
Oh,
I think, is
yeah.
better right now than they were when the original guys were in the band.
Right.
So again, it's all perception, and you don't have to like it, but we've always said vote with your wallet. If you don't like what they're doing, then just simply don't go.
Yep.
It's kind of like if you see something online that you don't like, just scroll past.
I think
Don't-
it's bigger. It's a bigger disappointment for people when the lead singer changes, like Van Halen.
Understood.
Yeah, and,
Yes.
because that's what they're used to, that sound.
Yeah.
But when Ace Frehley left, that kind of bummed me out because I was a huge
yeah.
Ace Frehley fan, and Peter Criss, obviously. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Ace is like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
He is so nice, but he just didn't want to do it anymore. So does that mean that Gene and Paul shouldn't do it?
no,
You know, if I don't know the U2 guys' names. What's the drummer's name? Larry? Is he the bass? No. Well, anyways, so if one of them leaves, does that mean the rest of the U2 can't continue to make music?
Of course not.
No, and I just think some people get too pigeonholed into this idea that it has to be the original people or nothing. And it's like, well, okay, that's fine. Then just don't support
Well,
it.
Like
But
the new singer for Journey.
Right.
Arnell
or even
Pineda.
Queensryche, same
Queens-
thing.
Queens-
Todd, I'm selling Todd LaTorre a house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's moving
Wow.
to Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Because he can't stand Florida anymore. But yeah, and Todd is amazing. And Arnell Pineda is got to be one of the top 5 frontmen I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not a huge Journey fan, but what was really interesting is last summer when we went to the Journey Def Leppard concert, I thought, I've always been a big fan of Def Leppard specifically.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm like thinking, God, I just don't want to hear Pour Some Sugar on Me ever again. But then what I realized is when I'm sitting there watching it in the moment, when you hear it played to perfection by the original artist, it's not the song. It's the fact that
Performance.
everybody covers it in every band,
Right.
and it just starts to get watered down.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
with Journey, the same kind of thing. And Arnell he's such a nice guy, and he's so happy to be there. Not that should be the reason why you do or don't support somebody, but I believe in cheering for people who
Right.
want to win.
And that's like when I grew up in Shoreview. Snail Lake, Sitzer Park. I used to play hockey. Go across the street, grab my skates and play, and it's down by Snail Lake. And our next door neighbors were a great couple. My mom and dad were really close to them, and unfortunately, the neighbor he had a pretty bad drinking and cocaine problem. Nobody knew about.
Yeah.
But his wife busted him, and she said, if you want to keep this marriage, you're going to go to treatment. So he's like, I'll do whatever it takes, and he went to treatment. So while he's at treatment at Hazleton, some long-haired freaky dude is what he called him. Looked like he needed a shower and a shave and to cut his hair. Asked him, he goes, do you know who I am? And he's like, no, I don't know if I want to. And he goes, perfect. He goes, can he be the partner?
Sponsor, yeah.
Sponsor,
Yeah.
because they had to pair up. And he's like, no, not him, not him.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, it ended up being Steve Clark. from Def Leppard.
Yeah.
And Steve Clark wanted to pair up with him because he had no idea who he was.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to know who he was.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're the perfect dude
because you don't want anything from me." And that's the hard thing that I think a lot of people also don't understand is that these people are just like all of us.
Yeah.
They love music. They love things that we're interested in. That it's no different. They just happen to do a job that people clap for, but they love to see the same people when they come
have
to town.
pets.
Yeah,
they just want to play music.
Yeah, and they want to see people with familiar faces because it grounds them when you're in a sea of people that it's just nonstop new people all the time. And I the best advice I can give someone is if you get in front of somebody that you admire, have a regular conversation with them.
Just
about
treat them normally.
Exactly.
Just treat them normally.
Exactly.
Just like they're just say hi and talk and don't get all.
I'm not that type. I don't get starstruck. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Some people really do, and some people get starstruck over everybody. You know, I know a few people in my life that their goal in life is to be famous.
Right.
And it's like, why? There's a lot of downside to it. I mean, I've seen some pretty awful shit at some of these festivals and backstage with fans, and I've also seen some amazing things. And it's not what everyone seems to think that it is. It's just a job.
Mm-hmm. I got struck once when I was
When you met me.
When I was in the military. Before I went in the military, I was watching Soap.
Oh, the TV show.
I love that
sitcom.
show.
Love that.
I was in the Louvre in Paris, and this guy walks by, and I'm like, I was with my friend Lori and a couple, and I go, "Is that Billy Crystal?"
Oh, awesome.
And she's like, I go, "That guy looks like Billy Crystal." She goes, "Because it is Billy Crystal." So I had my camera, and I walk up to him and I ask him for his autograph, and he's like, "Well, do you have a pen?" And I'm like, "No, do you?" And I didn't even take a picture of him. I was just so.
I met Vince Neil and took a picture of two of my girlfriends and forgot to take one of myself.
But I was young. I was a young
Brett
kid,
Brett met a famous person when he was a kid waiting in line at a ride in Disney World.
It was at Walt Disney World, and my brother and I were waiting. It was at Epcot Center. And I was wearing my buddy's Iron Maiden T-shirt.
Very cool.
It wasn't even my T-shirt. Yeah, buddies. And this is my brother was, young. I mean, I probably was 16, 17 at the time, 16. I think. And waiting in line, and there's this big guy, and he kind of looks back at me, does a double take, taps the guy in front of him on the shoulder, and goes like this. And all of a sudden, this head pops around. And he goes, "Oi, I play in that band." And I'm looking at the lead singer for Iron Maiden, and I'm like,
Bruce Dickinson.
Yeah,
That's
and I'm
crazy.
like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like completely. He goes, "Are you coming to the show?" And I'm like, going, "I don't have tickets." And he's like, "We'll get you some tickets." And my mom is like over my dead body. And she saw the shirt and she's like, "There's no way you're going to some concert in Orlando when you're 16. No." And I'm like, "Oh, mom."
Oh, what a
Total
So
buzzkill.
I used to live downtown Minneapolis, and it was like, I don't know, a Sunday at 3:00 or something. And I might have told this story before, but I go to the strip club because it's the only place that's close enough, like downtown. It used to be desolate, if it wasn't a weekday, downtown used to be shut down. But the strip club was open, so I went there, and I was like the only guy in the place. Just had opened up. I was having a beer, and from behind, I hear some guys like, "Could I get a Jack and Coke?" And bartender's like, "Sure." The dude sits down. It's Lemmy from Motorhead.
Perfect.
Wow.
Me and Lemmy just sitting there. He's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, I'm good. It's like, fuck, they're at First Avenue tonight.
Yeah.
And he's like, I couldn't go, but he offered me tickets. We just sat and talked. Ozzy was doing his TV show at the time, was really popular. So he just told me, tons of stories about Ozzy and Sharon. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's real thing, man. He's really fucked up. They got his meds so fucked up he doesn't know if he's coming or going. And Sharon takes care of him, so thank God for that." But we were just having I was like, Jesus Christ. So we had like 2 drinks together, and he left. But I was like, that was fucking cool. Like, that'll never happen.
Amazing things happen. I know it's weird. It's whenever I get around.
And then
Steel,
I met Fancy Ray McCloney once too.
Well,
Fancy Ray's awesome.
Fancy Ray's amazing.
I actually when I was driving my squad in Minneapolis, right up a Hiawatha in 26, I was taking a right going north on Hiawatha. There's Fancy Ray on the sidewalk on his bicycle that was like a Pee Wee Herman bicycle with these big ape hangers and stuff. And I hit the siren. I'm like, and I get on the mic and I'm like, Fancy Ray. And he's like,
oh, that's awesome.
I was like the coolest thing. I'm like, now that's cool.
He's a Twin Cities treasure.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
he is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's so awesome.
And it's so funny because every time I'm around Steel Panther, they're always trying to get us to go to the strip club with them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these bands still have a fascination with the strip club. So that's a great place for you guys to meet people too, is go to the strip club.
Well, when I worked at O'Donovan's, there was a strip club right next door.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that strip club.
no, it was all
I'd
right.
actually go in there with Brett, and I'd have my back to him, and then every once in a while I'd look around, but it was like no big deal.
We'd go up and talk to the bartenders, and and all
It's
the
a
dancers knew who I was.
Yeah.
They didn't. The new ones would come up and like, hi, honey, and then the girls would come up and they're like, no,
Leave him alone.
and they're like, why? And they're like, no, he's my brother from next door.
Brother.
That's what they call it, brother from next door.
Yeah.
So just don't hands off. So
Everyone's
I
got to
love
make
that.
a living.
Hi.
in fact, at O'Donovan's, I remember Black Sabbath and Megadeth were playing. Remember when they were at the Target Center?
Yeah.
And there was this guy that would come in every now and then, Dave. We'll just call him Dave because Dave is his name. And Dave would come in, and Dave had long hair, and it was kind of gray and stuff, and we just call him Long Hair Dave.
Yeah.
And he'd come in, every so often, and he was a cool guy. And so one day, Megadeth and Black Sabbath were playing, and in walks Dave Mustaine with Dave. So Dave and Dave. So
the Daves.
So the
Biggest
Daves.
prick I've ever met in my life.
Well, no, I mean, but
Sorry.
Dave Mustaine was cool. He's
You mean the
sitting
one
down
from
and-
Metallica?
no,
He's not
Megadeth.
Oh, Megadeth.
And then with two
He's a-
blonde bombshells on each arm, and we're like looking at him like going, long hair Dave what is going on here?
You don't know, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
What the wow? And they're sitting down and they're done, and the bombshells leave, and they come up to the bar, and Dave Mustaine goes, I want to do a shot. How about an Irish car bomb? And and guys, can you do one with us? And manager wasn't there, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Dave Mustaine, so
Yeah.
I'm doing it. So we
Yeah.
do the shot and talking to Dave, and Dave goes to the bathroom, so we go to long hair Dave, and I'm like, how do you know Dave Mustaine? And he looks at me and he goes, I've been playing with him for like 20 fucking years. It's David Elfson.
Oh,
Oh,
well, that's fantastic.
who's the drum?
He's nice. Ellison's cool.
And
I've met him.
but
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
he's like looking at us like, what? And we're like, we just called you long haired Dave. You couldn't cut the cord and cut that shit off,
Right.
But he was a cool guy, and we just call him long hair Dave. And
That's a
we
great
found out it was
story.
Dave Elson, and I was like going, oh, I feel so stupid. Really stupid right now.
That's what my dad said to Brett when he first met him. When he walked in the door, what did he say to you, Brett?
Well, I had hair that was literally down. I could tuck my hair into my pants. Back in my
Yeah.
pants. And I walked in, and being a musician and stuff like that, you keep
Yeah.
the long hair. It's kind of the mystique. And I meet him for the first time, and her dad's got, cocktail in one hand, and Jean's like takes off and leaves me there with her dad standing in the doorway. and I'm like, I put my hand out to shake his hand, and my hand's out, and I'm like, Mr. Swanson, nice to meet you. He looks at my hand, looks at me, goes, when are you gonna cut that fucking shit off? And I'm like going, I go, I'm not playing in a band anymore, so I suppose I could cut it, but your daughter has some,
Investment.
I go, no, she's got a
kink.
hair requirement. And,
Yeah.
and he
got a
looks
kink
at
thing.
me and looks me up and down, shakes his head, rolls his eye, and walks away. And I'm still standing there with my hand out going,
Was he a farmer? Because the same kind of thing happened to me. My hair was long when
Yeah.
I first started dating my wife, and he's like, "Why'd you bring this hippie home?" Like,
No,
and
but
like, old man, there ain't been hippies around here in 20 years. What are you talking about? You know, he was the kind of guy who thought, oh my God, and my hair is touching the top of my ear. People are going to think I'm in a band. You know,
Yeah, Bob was a good guy, but you once you got to know him, he was a good guy, and he had a lot of guns, so
you better get along.
a lot of guns.
Yep. I got to inherit the modified AR-15 Colt.
Nice.
And the Colt Python.
Yep.
6-inch barrel. So
you.
yeah, he was a good guy, but but that was kind of the deal. I mean, that was the big 80s and early 90s. You were still listening to kind of that hairball stuff, but there was a lot of great music that came out, during that era.
Oh, yeah.
Just great music. And we had Steve Philbrook. If you remember Steve Philbrook from Brass Kitten, Platinum Overdose, recording artist there, with the guys from Rough Cut.
Yeah.
And Shot Through the Heart.
Shot Through the Heart, and he does that too.
Which he has to change his name.
Yeah. Somebody liked that name more and decided to copyright it.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
Down
crap.
south, yeah.
So now they have to change the name.
Well, and I've always felt like an outsider with music here in Minnesota because I don't have the Minnesota music disease like so many people have. I always liked all kinds of music, and I have friends, and not so many of my close friends, but there are people here in Minnesota that believe if you're not in Husker Du, The Replacements, or Soul Asylum, you suck.
Suburbs.
It's like, suburb. And it's like, no, all those bands are great in their own right.
Right.
But it doesn't
Different genre.
Yeah, but it doesn't make up the whole of everything, and there's still people who are clinging on to that.
Well, right. And, I mean, and there's
they sleep on a pile of city pages.
right.
Yes,
I mean,
old city pages, yes.
They use them as like a blanket.
Yeah.
the most embarrassing thing,
street.
I used to hang out with this guy named Carl when I worked at the TGI Fridays downtown. Carl would come in, and he worked over at Glick's, and a couple days a week he'd come in and he'd smoke a cigarette. We'd give him a few drinks and he'd go, and it's like, hey, when you get off work, come on over. I'd get off work and, hey, I'm getting off work. Let's go do something. I'm like, all right. And he'd go hang out with Carl. So got to know Carl, got to be friends with Carl and stuff like that. And then, one day I'm at Glick's, I'm looking at this album cover on the wall, and I'm looking at him like, is that you? I'm pointing right, and he's like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, what the hell are you doing with the rest of the band of Soul Asylum? And he's like, I'm the bass player for Soul Asylum. And I'm like, are you shitting me? And he's like,
Another Brian moment.
no. It's another one. I'm like going, oh my God, I'm an idiot. But I mean, I hung out with Carl for months, probably a year, and I had no idea he was the bass player for Soul Asylum.
But see but that's how you make. But that's how you know you have a friend, because you didn't want.
It's not about that.
You
not about
yeah,
that.
you didn't expect anything. You didn't want anything from him, and that's the key to all of this. Because I get asked that so often, and it's like, look, I'm not anything special. I haven't done anything that anybody else couldn't do. Right. It's just a matter of wanting to do it and making it happen because you work hard for it.
Yeah.
And you learn these lessons along the way, and the people that don't fall by the wayside, because I can tell you that once you get into the circle of trust with a lot of these bands, you're in for good. Yep. But it's hard to get into that circle of trust because they've had so many people that have taken advantage of them over the years along the line from one thing or another, that they don't trust you at first for a very long time, until they really realize what your intentions are.
Yeah, so that means that they're a genuine friend.
Yeah.
Or acquaintance or whatever.
Yeah. Some of them are definitely acquaintances. Some of them are friends. It's just a mix of everything. But it's been a fun ride, and I still, like I said, I love to sell houses. That's what I do for a living. But my passion is that, and then of course I love football, because football is awesome, and we're starting up here. This
if you take a look, you can see behind Patrick what his daughters bought him. Was that for your birthday or Christmas?
Father's Day.
Oh, Father's Day.
That's
a
awesome.
little artwork stadium going on here.
That's really cool.
And if you
So I
take
thought
a
it'd be a
look
good
straight
backdrop.
behind you, Tom, if you take a look at that,
Super Bowl.
that was the Super Bowl. and I worked.
Was that
at the
42?
stadium? That's when we could have went to the Super Bowl,
That
but
was 2018.
lost to the Eagles
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
horribly.
there was a lot of people apparently that signed up to be Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, and they were driving the Eagles fans to the wrong places. So they'd say they
On
want to
purpose?
yeah.
What?
We want to
Yeah.
go downtown Minneapolis to this, and they drop them off in downtown St. Paul.
Oh my God.
Because
That
Eagles
is awesome.
fans are the worst.
Yeah.
They are the worst,
Yep. That's what I heard too.
Oh
Philadelphia.
my God.
But I know people. I had a friend who literally ended up on the 50-yard line at the Super Bowl, not that year, standing next to Cher during the national anthem,
Wow.
all on a fake laminate.
Wow.
Whoa.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I know other people who just have this gift of getting backstage that have no credentials whatsoever.
That's-
And yeah, it's
And that's their life is to be able to do that.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
saw
impressive.
a hack. It was
Yeah.
only getting into a movie theater, but two guys just got some like blue, jumpsuits, like a mechanic would wear,
Yeah.
and they just grabbed a ladder and they both walked in with the ladder, and they just let them right in, like they were going to fix something. They just
Yeah.
walked
Oh my
with purpose.
God.
They got in there, put the ladder up, and watched movies or something.
They probably could have done it.
God, that's clever.
Well, yeah, they probably could have done it just with a clipboard because you look very official with a clipboard.
And a hard
Oh, yeah,
helmet
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Hard
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Mhm.
You
I'm going to
know?
go online now and buy some shit.
It's
Lard ass?
crazy.
Or hard hat. What did you say?
Hard,
Lard
hard,
Hard
hat.
hat.
A hard
Hard hat.
Lard ass? Lard ass?
Yeah.
So,
Hope you get the movie reference there.
one of the things I wanted to ask is, how did you get into this podcast with Kiss? I mean, how did you end up doing that? Because from all accounts, this is a really successful podcast.
Yeah,
I mean,
it-
seriously.
It's the little engine that could. My friend Michael Brandvold, who's been my co-host since the beginning, we had another co-host that lasted about 66 episodes, and then he left, and we brought in Mark after that. And Mark Cicchini is one of the biggest Kiss fans I've ever met, and he's become one of my very best friends. But anyways, Michael Brandvold, who has Brandvold Marketing, he works with all these different bands, and he does their social
him.
media marketing. Okay, Michael. All right.
Yeah.
So
He's
Michael,
he's in San Fran still.
yeah,
right?
they just moved north of San Francisco by about 30 minutes. So it's a suburb, but I don't remember the name of it. But Michael and I became friends from record conventions. And so whenever he would come to town, we would always go to a Twins game together because his
Oh, yeah.
parents still lived here,
Mhm.
And then we would go and have something to eat afterwards. And I remember we were sitting at Joe Sensor's in Bloomington, and he was doing Drop the Needle podcast and a couple of other things. And I just said to him, I'm like, well, if you ever want to do a Kiss podcast, let me know, because I would be interested in doing that. But the reason that I said that is it was a topic I understood and knew enough about that we could talk about it. And then the other one was the fact that I wanted to learn things about real estate because podcasting was new. And I thought, well, golly, if he can teach me how to podcast and I can learn the elements of it, then I can maybe incorporate it and use it for business. And we never said another word about it for probably 6 months or a year. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue one day, he's like, hey, do you want to still do that? And I said, sure. He's like, well, I've got another co-host. And we started going, and we thought, well, gosh, if we get 100 people to watch, this is amazing, you know? And I think our first episode, we got like 1,000 people.
Wow.
And then it just grew from there. And the funny thing is there's a lot of other Kiss podcasts out there. There's music podcasts. There's all these different things. And some people started getting really bitter as our as our show started to climb. And there's nothing special. It's just a chemistry thing, and people seem to enjoy it. And I think it's because we tell the truth. And also, too, Michael is fully responsible for this. He is the one who drives all of this. He's got us everywhere. You can find us on every single platform, and he's very good about follow-up and everything. And the thing I really respect about him, beyond just the business acumen, is the fact that he won't take shit from anybody. So if you are someone who comes on and says, hey, I happen to like this era or this song or whatever, you can have a great debate. That's what we want. But at the minute you start calling someone names, or the minute you start putting someone down, he'll literally ban you and block you forever.
Well, you should, because I mean, when you're looking at a lot of the podcasts that are out there, I mean, you know, when you're talking about Kiss, you're talking about a band that has evolved from start to there's gonna be people that love the early Kiss and they don't like the late Kiss or the middle Kiss.
Yeah.
You're gonna like the Kiss guys that are like right in the middle of everything, the cool, or even like the late '80s, early '90s Kiss. There's so much different variation in what they've done career wise. It's like you got to embrace it all, and some people are just.
It was pretty
unable.
cool back in the day too to see Bill Aucoin. When I first saw him, I was like, "Holy shit, that's the guy! That's the guy!
That's the guy."
He was one of the first managers for Kiss, right? Like,
and I think that
he was helping local acts here for a while. I think.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, he's got his hands in all kinds of things, and I think the reason that it works is because they were able to capture the imagination of a generation. And even though I love Billy Joel, there's not as much to talk about with him, because it's been pretty consistent throughout the whole thing. So I know there's Rolling Stones podcasts and there's probably Beatles and all these different bands who I love as well. But there's something magical about the fever of the fans for this. But there was a lot of people who really needed to be tuned up a bit that thought they could just come on our sites, our socials, and just be reckless. We had a guy, it was over the 4th of July holiday a number of years ago. He spent the whole weekend not being with his family and friends or enjoying the fireworks or going out on a boat. He spent the whole weekend creating fake accounts on Spreaker to try to crash our website.
What?
Like over 1,400.
Wow.
And he's like, and what he doesn't understand is Michael's just like, block, 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 as he's sitting on the boat. You know, people get crazy.
Wow.
And so for whatever reason, it has held up and it continues to grow. And, you know, we're just looking for stories. We want to learn new things that we didn't know before. And we talk about a lot of other music too, but that's where I'm always being accused of not being a Kiss fan, because I'm not an Iron Maiden fan. I like my Iron Maiden. I'll go and see them live, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy a bunch of their records. I'm going to listen to Billy Joel or a myriad of other artists. It's not that I don't like the heavier stuff, but some of those fans, it's like, it's got to be metal or nothing. And it's like, no, that's not.
No, it's not. I mean, I agree 100%, because my tastes go everything from pop to metal, and I like metal. I you know, I listen to more rock stuff, like I shouldn't say new band. I have a new like for like Shinedown.
They're amazing.
And they're amazing. And I've always loved the music, but then when I started seeing kind of what they do, how they talk to their fans, around their fans, some of these Instagram posts that the singer does, you know, and just all of a sudden I'm like, those guys are awesome. I mean, it's like inspiring, awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you people look up your podcast?
It's called 3 Sides of the Coin.
3 Sides of the Coin.
I just Googled it. It came up on Spotify, and you got a new follower.
Yeah,
I'm going to check that out for sure.
Nice.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's everywhere. You can find it wherever you want. But like I said, I always tell people, you know, you have to like this or it's going to be boring. But we have a lot of people who listen that don't even like the band, which is really bizarre. But I think it's because there's so many folks who live in remote places that maybe they don't have any people to talk with about music.
Yeah, right.
So we talk about all kinds of genres. So like for me, Shinedown is the best band touring right now.
Oh, absolutely. I would kill to get one of those guys on this show.
Oh, it would be amazing. Yeah.
It'd totally be amazing.
And
the way
Is that
it
why you
looks
just
like,
took out life insurance?
yeah, no, but the way these guys are with their fans, and it's like, I wouldn't put it past them to actually do that.
You might be able to get them to do that. You just never know. It's all about timing. So I approached Joe Elliott and he wants to come on our podcast.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So, but again, it's like, that's great, but getting them on is a whole other thing.
Right.
You know, but I've been blessed and I just love music so much. I could go on for hours about all the bands I listen to.
We just love talking to people like you.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
You're awesome.
I enjoy talking with you.
You know, it's like one of the things that I really wanted is to get you on because of all the things you've done. You know, you're a realtor by day. You're this photographer at night. You know these people. You have, you know, relationships with a lot of these band folks, the podcasts that you do. I mean, there's all these different levels that, you know, getting you on that's interesting. And, you know, and this is a podcast about people with stories.
And he drove all the way from Lakeville.
All the way from
So how about telling us something that most people don't know about you? What about, you know, you do your podcast, and you have all that stuff, the content that you talk about,
Yeah.
and your photography and your real estate. What are some things that nobody knows?
Oh
Ooh.
God, that's a good question. I don't really know. I mean, I'm pretty transparent. I've been married for 35 years. I've been with the same woman for almost 40, and I'm blessed for that. We have got 2 wonderful adult children. And my daughter is, and I'm not saying this because I'm her father, because I'm really kind of like, but she can sing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And she was raised in the Ariana Grande type of thing. So she's got a thing going called the Jake and Josie Show, and they play around town, and they do it as a duet, but then they also have a full band. And so she's been approached by a couple of different people, and it sounds like she might do some recording with Stevie D, the guitar player in Buck Cherry, because he has a production or a publishing deal, and he's writing material for country artists. I'm a simple person. We live in Lakeville. We have horses. We have 5 acres, and I'm a huge Vikings fan, but most people know that. But I mean, I'm pretty simple. There's not much there.
So,
is your horse's name Buttercup?
How many horses
No.
do you have? You have a couple horses?
Yeah, we have 2. One of them is my wife's, and the other one is her friend Cindy's.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Do you ride?
No way.
No way.
I don't. Look, I love animals, dogs, cats, horses. I just don't trust them.
We have a couple of dogs running around
Yeah,
here that you
yeah.
hear barking every now and then. But-
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a home without animals. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't, and I love having them around. They're wonderful. They're just huge dogs, but I don't trust them. But see, I was raised on music. My wife was raised on horses. So that is her passion. So here's a way for us to kind of meet in the middle, get some acreage, and she can have the horses
Nice.
on her property. And it's worked out really, really well.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
but other than that, I work 60 to 90 hours a week. I love to sell
Wow.
real estate, and then I do the stuff on weekends and nights.
Now, do you play music at all? Do you play guitar or
Poorly.
poorly?
It never stuck with me the way it did, like with Michael. You know, looking at Michael is just his skill level, and same with Chris Fox, all the guys in Hairball. It's just over the top. And I have a very good friend. I give him a lot of crap. His name is Tim Coletti. Tim is the guitar player in a band called Rival 5. For any of you that are in the 5-state area, if you love 80s pop, songs that you love that you forgot that you love, this is the band for you. And I kid you not, they are unfreaking believable. So they'll do like Aha, Take On Me.
Yeah.
They will do Mr. Kyrie Lay. And those are the songs they do. And they are like an 80s version of Hairball, but they're just freaking brilliant. And Tim has got to be one of the greatest guitar players I've ever met in my life. But the bit is this. We were going back and forth over something, and I said something to him, and he's like, "Oh, really? You think you're so freaking funny? That's the best you can do?" I'm like, So I created a fan club page for him that was a private group on Facebook. We got up to 700 members. He didn't know about it. And then Happy totally screwed it up from Hairball, and he made a post. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? We were going to get to 1,000. Then we were going to make it public and then just start doing stories. So we do stuff like win a dream date with Tim and go through all, like 10 things that turn Tim on and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
So now the bit has become like if I'm with some, musician, like I was with Sebastian Bach, and I'm like, so, asking him about guitar players. And I'm like, so what do you think of Tim Coletti? He's like, who the fuck is Tim Coletti? And so now that's the bit now, is every time I'm around some of these musicians, I always ask him, well, is Tim your favorite guitar player? And Tim is such a good heart, and he takes it with a grain of salt. But I'm just like, you challenged me.
Exactly.
That's about as bad as Patrick at the state fair seeing me walk by says, I can't believe, the Rolling Stone top 100 guitar players came out and Brett Shuck wasn't even in the top 10.
Oh, I did a top 20 and I put Coletti at number 19 and I put him below CC DeVille. It was fantastic.
That's
So
awesome.
that's kind of like the running joke, just like with Dave Moody, who's one of the singers in Hairball. He's a massive Steelers fan. So what I'll do is he has a Steelers patch on his pants or something when he's doing AC/DC. So I'll put a Bengals logo over the Steelers logo. just to make them crazy.
Nice.
So now for you have websites out there for your realty.
Yeah. It's Tom Sommers Real Estate. That's where you can find me for real estate. Facebook and Instagram, it's just Tommy Sommers. The reason that I use the two different names is the Tommy Sommers part was more for the music thing and the photography and all that sort of thing. And now I'm trying to marry the two together. So you can find me. I'm on all the socials.
Now, I'd love to put some of that information on the end of the podcast. And
Sure.
We'll put it on our webpage as well.
Sure.
And have that out there for everyone that wants to take a look at Tommy's pictures. Maybe hit him up for some real estate.
Yeah.
You want a house?
Check out the podcast, of course.
Tommy
So
Sommers.
we will put all that stuff on the website. And again, we'll throw some of your pictures, your choice, on there so people can actually kind of see some of the stuff. So
Sure. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come and chat with you guys. This has been a lot of fun.
Well, it's been great having you on. And again, I really wanted to have you on because you've got a lot of stories.
We
It's
have to
been
talk
awesome.
again.
But we will have,
I'll
we'll
come
have
back
to
anytime.
we'll have to come back.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
have to have you come back for sure.
Sure. I'll come back anytime,
Oh, yeah.
whatever you
All
want
right.
to talk about.
So absolutely. Folks, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thank you. Make sure that you're checking out Tommy Sommers Realty, his Facebook and Instagram, as well as his podcast. Great stuff. And we're going to see you next week. Next week, we're going to have Jim Cunningham, who is a actor in the Minneapolis area. He's a national actor and voice actor. We're going to have him on and talk to him. So, Tommy, thanks again for
Thanks,
coming on the show.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
everybody,
Yeah.
take
Good to
care,
meet you.
and we will see you next week.